welcome along. We're here today to talk about how women have shaped the payments landscape. I'm here with my good friend and colleague, Rosanna, and our objective absolutely is to get more women to join the payments industry and indeed, of course, to join Ecommpay. So, Rosanna, how do you feel about the topic that we have today?
Thanks, Claire, for inviting me. Well, the fact that we are having yet another session on this topic speaks volume, in my opinion. And despite the progress in the last decades, obviously there are still challenges.
Absolutely. I guess, let's look at the timeline. 1918, women's vote. 2 world wars, particularly the second of which in where women took male roles or filled traditionally male roles while obviously the men were away at war. And yet here we are still having this conversation several decades on. So listen, you and I have fallen into the same trap as always. No glasses of wine though, I hasten to add.
Especially, yes.
Totally, but we haven't done our introduction. So would you like to tell everybody why it's us two having this conversation?
Right, I asked myself the same question, but yes. Hi everybody, I'm Rosanna Helm-Visscher. I'm head of commercial partnerships here at Ecommpay. And as to your question, why I think we are here is, I've been in payments for around a decade, so around 10, 11 years, and actually joined different payment companies, different positions, mainly in the sales and partnership roles, which shaped me. So yes, I guess that's why I'm here. What about you, Claire?
Okay, well, so Clare Haskins, and I'm head of revenue operations for Ecommpay. I come from, similar to you now, nearly a decade in payments, having worked for a number of providers across the industry, and prior to that from a background in telco. So always in sales, account management, partnerships, roles, very much kind of leadership commercial elements. So hopefully that gives us a little bit of background. But on a more personal note, I'm a mum. I'm a mum to a 6'3", 16-year-old. And I'm one of those girly types of teenage stepdaughter. So quite a mix to deal with. How about you, Rosanna?
I think this is something what we have in common. I mean, not the 6 foot tall boy, but actually I would say it in European, 1 meter, 1 meter tall, adorable son. So yes, both mom and a working mom as well.
So we're both sitting here saying that we have a decade in the payments industry, but did you grow up as a little girl wanting to be a payments expert?
Oh my God, no, I was not a payment expert. Actually, I came into payments by coincidence. Before that, I actually worked more in the tech industry for IBM and HP. And then by coincidence, I ended up at my first payments job, actually asking what are you actually doing? I don't quite understand what is happening behind it. I only know how to pay, but not what's behind the scenes. So actually it combines the fin from finance and the tech. I'm here. That's how I ended up. Yes, to be honest, what I'm observing is that when I started actually in partner management, when I went to the different industry events in this e-commerce and payments field, it was very much still male dominated, even if it's only 10 years ago. You went there, you were maybe one of 3 women, and then others were men, different partner managers or account managers, but also C-levels, leadership positions. Now, when I visit events, I see that it developed for me in a positive trend. I see more and more women in various positions, but also in leadership positions. Not enough, but we're getting there.
Okay.
So what about you?
I'd been working in telco. The MD that I'd been working for moved into payments and actually brought quite a team of people across from the telecoms industry into payments because the skills are really transferable. The industries are very similar. And I guess that's the first thing, right? If we're unraveling this, both of us fell into payments by coincidence. Both of us have ended up in an industry that we didn't necessarily set out on a journey to. But I think that's probably the first myth of the payments industry, right? It isn't an industry that is prohibited to you if you haven't grown up with a lifetime of experience. Actually, it's a really accessible industry that you can unpick and learn as long as you're fascinated. And you described that perfectly in terms of being inquisitive and wanting to understand the detail.
Absolutely. So as far as you are interested in a topic, there are means of how you can develop yourself, and you don't need to be stuck in a certain model. You can learn everything, but you have to have the will to do so. So be it payments or others, I think everybody can learn it.
As you've moved through the payments industry, and we're starting to unpick that technical kind of barrier that it's accessible, you can learn it. But do you see that there's been a change in what do you think's enabled that?
When we start with all the online and e-commerce industry, right? More and more women, men, even teenagers, they start going online. They're interested in all the technique around it. They're interested in, let's say, ordering online, shopping online. So more and more women also know about the technique. Everybody has access to the technique, right? Be it an iPhone, be it a laptop, etc.
Okay.
Right. So that's why I think more and more women became interested in finding out more about it. Also, we need to maybe distinguish the roles in companies like payment companies, right? We have preset roles like HR, marketing, legal, but we have also this much needed department, sales, and maybe partnerships. I've been in companies where I saw a mix or a balance between male and female in sales positions, even in, let's say, more senior sales positions. But I still see that there is an opportunity for growth there. It's more about the characteristic, the personality,
totally.
Right? So we should not distinguish between genders here. It's more about the character. What do you want to do? What's your plan?
Absolutely. If you're going to be a new business salesperson, then you've got to be really resilient, really thick-skinned and aggressive in an activity-orientated way, to be out there constantly, driving the activity and the numbers that you need to make that true. And obviously, wrapping that with all of the expertise and the knowledge that you can share with customers once you get that opportunity and you've kind of kicked that door open. And I think that therefore, when we look at the sales teams particularly, that's where you start to see that imbalance coming through, because the characteristics and the personality and the traits that you need to demonstrate to be in that kind of role are typically not associated with, let's call them classic female traits and behaviors. Or the flip of that is that if you find a woman who does do them, then the perception and the understanding of how to interact with them is really skewed. I don't know if you've had the same, but certainly from my perspective, when I get angry or frustrated about something, the perception of that and of me, again, because of the construct, is that I am being emotional. Whereas I've sat in a room with lots of guys who've slammed the desk and walked out, and people have thought he was strong or powerful or,
Absolutely. If we go back a little bit down the history lane, I'm not here the history expert, but we all know what we're talking about, right? The Queens of England. Also, let's say recent politicians. The Iron Lady. Why was she actually called the Iron Lady? She was just a lady. But still, Margaret Thatcher, right? Recently, Angela Merkel from Germany. So they also maybe had thick skin in order to rule countries and to manage the politics. So I still don't think that you need to be male or a man for this. You just have to be a person who either likes it or not, and to have a plan of what you want to do and what you want to achieve in life.
And I think as you become more senior in an organization, those characteristics become, they're consistent regardless of who's required of them. You have to be resilient. You have to be able to manage stress and pressure. You have to be able to manage the politique as well as the relationships and the kind of the the issues of the organization. You have to be target orientated. You have to make really tough decisions. And again, those things tend to get stereotyped to male characteristics historically, but also to putting a pressure on you about the balance that you can take between your working life and potentially any kind of personal life that you choose to have, whatever that looks like, but specifically when it comes to having a family or raising children or even having dogs and cats. They're all responsibilities that create a real imbalance for people.
When you are, let's say, a mother, but you want to pursue your career, there are a lot of prejudice everywhere. It still is there out, unfortunately, that if a woman decides to choose and to go for a career, then she's perceived as, but she's not taking care of her child or of her family. If she's then, for example, not available for a meeting or for a business trip, then she's like, but she has the child, and that's why maybe she's not very much career oriented or career focused. And this is something we need to erase from people's minds, especially from women who want to build a career but also want to have a family. They should not have to choose between the one and the other, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I think that, in some ways, the pandemic's been super helpful because it has forced a hybrid stroke work from home agenda in a way that I haven't seen really break that construct in the country, in the industry, in the world for several decades. But it's also true that that's not just a female issue. But I do think if you've got a plan, if you know how you are going to manage all of those things, they're exactly the same questions that anyone who takes a senior role has to decide on. Is this what I want? Am I willing and able to do the things that are required of this role, the hours, the travel, the experience, and how am I going to make that sit well or balance with all of the other things that are in my life that are as important to me or the place demands on me? And I think that, having a plan and having a team, whether that's a partner, a husband, or a
pet,
or a pet, or a fantastic mother-in-law, or support or formal childcare or whatever it is, those are the tools that you need to use in order to give yourself the space. And I think that the other element of that is and certainly from my personal experience, the biggest element is to remember that everybody is making decisions for their own purpose, and that those decisions that other people are taking are no better or worse than the decisions you've taken for yourself. They're just different. And it's that lack of judgment that will actually kind of enable the whole of the industry to step forward. But I guess we can't solve all of world peace in one conversation.
A slight difference still between, let's say, men and women is once the family or the woman decides to have a child, a lot of women and a lot of people around in my environment, they're like, okay, Rosanna, but fine, I decide to have both. What happens afterwards, right? I give birth to my child. I take care because I'm the woman, right? I maybe breastfeed this child and then I'm bound to it. What happens after, let's say, maternity leave? Can I go back to my work? And is something changed? Will be something different? Will people see me in a different light or not? I think this is also a difference between men and women. Although there is, I think, also a very good example. I think we talked about it. The former Prime Minister of New Zealand.
Right? Jacinta Ardern. Yeah.
Yes. So where she gave birth, but after a couple of weeks, she actually took her baby and was back on her feet, which is absolutely fine. But this shows again a very strong personality. But I just want to say that leadership positions, as you said, they require this thick skin. They require politics, diplomacy. They require a lot of stress resistancy. And this is where I think women should not be underestimated, because with the stress, giving birth, with the stress, taking care of a little child, but also going to work and balancing it all, I mean, it shows actually that women are stress resistant, and we should not underestimate that.
Okay. And I think as well that there's healthy reasons, right, to take time out of a role, whether that's you going on a secondment to a different position, or a sabbatical where you kind of take time out for personal development, regardless. As a funny story, I came back from maternity leave to one of my colleagues who I actually worked with very closely and knew very well, and I think still thinks that I did a good job. And he said to me, I haven't seen you for ages. And I was like, I've been off for 5 months. So obviously, I think we're all more adaptable perhaps than we perceive. So,
Exactly.
so let's pull this together, right? So because we've got to get some concrete plans. So we're saying really clearly, this is an exciting technology of an industry with some fascinating things to learn, and you shouldn't let the fact that you haven't worked in the industry prohibit you from exploring it and understanding it. We're saying that hybrid working allows flexibility for everyone, and that's an opportunity to be able to manage and balance home life and career, whoever you are and whatever you're looking for. So what would be your top tips for somebody who was looking to get into the payments industry, particularly as a woman?
I would definitely advise every girl, every young woman, not to have to choose, and not to choose actually, should I do this or this? Should I have a career? Should I have a family? Can I do both or not? Yes, definitely, because both of us are the example that it's doable, it's manageable. And not only us, there are a lot of women can do that. So yes, this is definitely something I would like to advise. Don't choose, just go for both. If you have a good plan, as Claire said, if you can visualize it, don't choose. Everything is possible. The second is, don't be afraid of learning new things, because payments it's something very important. We need to pay. We need to get paid. So don't be afraid of learning something new, of choosing to learn something, because everything can be taught, can be learned. It's just like, what do you want to do? What is your ambition? And also, what is your passion? So these are definitely things I would give to everyone, to friends, to other colleagues.
Okay. So I think I'm with you. I would say to anyone, firstly, don't see your career as a linear path. Take the side roads, because one, they are fascinating and interesting distractions, and secondly, they will teach you a whole set of skills that become transferable and actually help you to move and navigate through that world. And that's a universal truth. I think secondly, do look at be brave, take the opportunity, apply for the role, because the only limiting factor then is your ambition or your desire. You can have a mentor, fantastic, but maybe don't just choose a female mentor because you are a female. Mix it up, make sure that you've got different perspectives and different energies and understandings, because that will help you to get to the next stage of your journey. And as I said, being brave, taking the opportunity, applying for the role. There's a statistic, I forget the number, but there is a statistic that says that men are more likely to apply for a job that they are partially capable of, whereas a woman won't apply for it unless she is fully capable of it. She feels she can meet all of the criteria. And again, that's just a reflection of expectation for how much you should know about a topic before you go forward. Go forward and learn, be inquisitive, and go into that job feeling that there's room for you to grow, rather than feeling that you are already more than capable of that job. And then actually, I think it'd be more fulfilling.
I totally agree. And what I would like to add here is as well, despite that we are having this conversation, women in payments, women in FinTech, again, I still see a very positive trend lately. A lot of employers, such as Ecommpay, they are giving opportunities, first of all, to women be also in leadership positions, but also a lot of employers giving the opportunity for women with children to be flexible in their working hours, not to have this 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, and you need to stick there. The main thing is that your employer has to trust that you fulfill your job, and if you need your flexibility, you get it. If you have such kind of employers, it's really great, and you don't need to choose. So the trend is positive, so no need to choose.
And I would say that I think Ecommpay, we talked about this off camera, but Ecommpay, are we a diverse and equal opportunity employer? And do we reflect that in our advertisements? I think so, right? We promote the organization through a whole host of industry expertise and commentary on what's happening in the marketplace. And that is reflective of the whole of our Ecommpay community from all kind of diversity and background. And so when it actually comes to the advertisement and the role, we simply want to find the people that have the right skills and are the best fit for that job. And actually then the natural flow will be that we end up with the balance of people rather than having some sort of artificial metric that drives us towards that end. Listen, I think we're probably out of time. Hopefully you and I have at least demonstrated that whatever obstacles or challenges exist in the working world, of development in terms of the next generation of technology. It's always a market that's pushing the boundaries, and there's plenty of opportunity for people that are passionate, interested, and wanting to work and grow with the organization. So if you're looking through those job adverts, look for Ecommpay. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you. Always a pleasure.